If you're a total beginner at breastfeeding and pumping, and you want to learn how to feed your baby successfully, you're in the exact right place. Maybe you feel like you have no idea how to get started. Maybe you've heard a horror story from a friend, and you want to make sure you avoid challenges like low milk supply or sore nipples. You don't need to sit there feeling clueless. You need steps you can follow so you know exactly how to get breastfeeding and pumping off to the best possible start. Because when breastfeeding goes well, it can make all of postpartum life feel more peaceful and rewarding. Unfortunately, the opposite is also true. Challenges with breastfeeding can make your entire transition to parenthood feel really stressful. I'm going to tell you how you can best set yourself up for success with a few easy to follow steps. These steps are exactly what helped me go from struggling with breastfeeding with my first baby to thriving with my second. Try to avoid the temptation to multitask. Don't exit out of this video. Don't skip ahead because I don't want you to miss any one tidbit that can end up making a real difference for you and your baby. Who is this video for? You're in the right place if you're an expectant or new parent and you want to breastfeed your baby, but you don't feel confident that you know what you're doing. You're in the right place if you feel like you know little or nothing about breastfeeding. You're in the right place if you've never seen a newborn baby breastfeeding up close. Hi, my name is Kate. I'm a Lactation Educator Counselor and the founder of Mighty Milk. I'm also a baby registry certified expert and a mom of two. I was exactly in your shoes just a couple of years ago. When I was pregnant with my first baby, I thought I was ready. I had the perfect nursery, tons of baby gear, and a cozy recliner. But when my baby was born, I was blindsided by how hard breastfeeding was. I was in pain and overwhelmed, and I ended up having to give up on breastfeeding before I'd hoped. And honestly, I was devastated. I didn't think I'd care so much about breastfeeding, but I felt like I was robbed of something, like the rug was pulled out from under me. Fast forward to my second baby, and everything went smoothly with breastfeeding. I knew exactly what to do and what not to do. And at 1 year, he's still nursing and drinking the milk that I pumped. Now I'm going to teach you exactly the steps that helped me go from struggling with breastfeeding and pumping to thriving with them. Before we dive in, here's one super important thing you should know. Don't miss this. Have you ever wondered why breastfeeding is so hard for so many parents? When you understand the reason why so many parents struggle with breastfeeding, it can also unlock that aha moment that helps set you up for success. After all, breastfeeding is the most natural thing we do, right? Human milk has literally sustained human life for millennia. But I have a question for you. How many times have you seen breastfeeding happen up close? Undercover doesn't count. If your answer is 0 times or maybe 1 or 2, you're in the majority. Most parents in the US and beyond have never seen breastfeeding happen up close. We do it in private because we've been taught basically since birth that breasts are sexual and that they and that we should be hidden, even when we're feeding our babies. But the truth is, breastfeeding isn't an automatic instinct for birthing people. We're meant to learn how to breastfeed our babies from repeated exposure over the course of our lives, like how we learn how to eat with a fork by watching others do it when we're young. We're supposed to see our friends and neighbors and family do it out in the open. Of course, it makes sense that so many parents struggle with breastfeeding when the first time they see it up close is when they're doing it with their own newborn baby. It's like flying blind. The other problem is with aggressive formula marketing tactic. This isn't a problem with formula itself, but the way the billion-dollar industry has deceived parents through marketing. For much of the last 100 years, formula companies convinced parents that formula is superior to human milk. As breastfeeding rates plummeted with the industry's manipulative marketing tactics, we lost generational knowledge about how breastfeeding was designed to work. Much of what many parents today think they know about breastfeeding is actually based on standard and norms for formula-fed babies, since formula is how most of our own parents and our grandparents were fed. But you can't just copy and paste bottle feeding routines onto breastfed babies. It doesn't work. The good news is that learning a few fundamentals about breastfeeding can go a long way in helping you reach your feeding goals. I know because learning these key concepts helped me breastfeed my baby comfortably and successfully after a failed first attempt. Step number 1. Feed your baby very frequently, a minimum of 10 to 12 times a day, and often more. Babies have teeny stomachs, and the nutritional makeup of human milk is such that it's designed to be fed to babies very frequently. If you're tuning out right now, listen to this next sentence because it is the number one most important thing you should know. The more you nurse your baby, the more milk you'll make, and the more milk your baby will get. Nursing your baby very frequently is the best way to avoid a whole slew of problems like low milk supply, engorgement, plugged ducts, and mastitis. How many times a day you'll need to nurse your baby will differ from person to person, so there's no one single number anyone can give you. It's not that intense forever, but in the early days, knowing that your baby needs to nurse very frequently throughout the day and night can help you feel less overwhelmed once it's happening. In our full breastfeeding class, which I'll talk about later, you'll learn how to tell your baby is hungry so you know when to feed them. Knowing how to read your baby's hunger cues can help you prevent stressful screaming and crying. Step number 2, position your baby upright to help avoid nipple pain. Nipple pain is miserable. I know because with my first baby, I've been there. Many new parents experience nipple pain, and the most common reason is because of positioning. Poor positioning isn't only uncomfortable for you, it can also lead to your baby not being able to get enough milk effectively. Many parents position their babies across their laps, but this position can lead to nipple pain. One position to try is an upright position, which is what we see in nature. In the upright position, your baby has access to all the reflexes they use to latch on and nurse effectively. The side lying position works much the same way, where your body and your baby's body are well supported and comfortable. I didn't want to shove too much into this video, but our full class shows videos of real moms and newborns nursing in these positions. And you get a laminated printout of a diagram of these positions to keep wherever you nurse your baby as a handy reminder. Step number 3, learn how to tell when your baby is swallowing. When my first baby was born, I thought he was doing a lot of nursing. Turns out he was just chilling on my boob, but he wasn't actually swallowing any milk. Learning how to tell if your baby is swallowing is a great way to ensure that they're getting enough milk. Knowing if your baby is swallowing is also a good thing because it can help you keep your nursing sessions efficient so you're not just sitting there for the entire day with your nipple in your baby's mouth. When your baby is done swallowing, you can switch sides. When babies get to be a few months old, it's easy to tell when they're swallowing. But when your baby is a newborn, it can be pretty tricky to tell because it's a really subtle sound. Our full class has footage and audio of what this sounds like so you can be more prepared to tell if your own baby is swallowing. Step number 4. Learn the signs that breastfeeding is going well and when to reach out for help. After your baby is born, your pediatrician should closely monitor your baby's weight gain. If your baby is gaining weight according to their growth curve, that is a good sign that your baby is getting enough milk. You can also count your baby's dirty diapers as another piece of the puzzle. Our full class gives you a day-by-day chart with what to look for. If your baby isn't gaining enough weight, or you're in lots of pain, or you have other concerns, that's a sign that it's time to get personalized support. Which brings me to step number 5. Reach out to an International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, or IBCLC, for help if you're struggling with breastfeeding. CLCs are the lactation experts with the highest credential in the lactation world. Before I birthed, I didn't even really know what a lactation consultant was. And then after my baby was born, I saw my local lactation consultant so frequently that I felt like I was just living in her office. Many new parents aren't aware that pediatricians are not lactation experts. They get very minimal lactation training. I'm talking like 3 hours of training. IBCLCs can help you with lots of things: milk supply, nipple pain, pumping, bottle feeding, the list goes on. Challenges with feeding can snowball quickly. I learned this firsthand with my first baby. So please reach out for help early and often if you need it. Many U.S. insurance plans cover IBCLC visits, so check with your provider. Step 6. Know the reasons why you should take out the pump. Pumping is really common today, but know that if you want to nurse your baby at the breast and you're not going to be separated from your baby, you definitely don't need to pump. Many moms don't love pumping. Hooking yourself up to a machine is not the same as feeding your baby, and biologically, nature didn't intend us to be pumping. It can be stressful seeing your milk trickle into a bottle. You might question your supply when everything could be totally fine. Or you could pump too much, leading to engorgement and other painful issues. Plus, bottle feeding requires a lot of cleaning. That being said, there are some great reasons to pump. Some parents, for a variety of reasons, don't want to or can't nurse. In that case, a pump is an awesome alternative for you to get your baby that liquid gold. Another common reason to use a pump is if you're going to be separated from your baby for any reason. Maybe you're going to work or a doctor's appointment or anything else and you can't bring your baby along with you. Pumps allow you to maintain your milk supply and leave behind a bottle for your baby. There are other reasons to use a pump, but those are 2 common ones. Step number 7, make sure your flanges fit you correctly. Flanges are these things that look like a funnel and fit directly on your nipple. It's super important to make sure your flange fits you right, and most parents have flanges that do not fit them well. Using the correct size flange will help you get the most milk out of each pumping session. On the other hand, using a poorly fitting flange can lead to nipple pain or even injury. You can measure yourself for a proper fit, but you'll want to wait until after your baby is born. In the comments, I'm going to link to a guide that shows you how to measure yourself. Most of the time, you'll need to order new flanges from a site like Amazon. They usually cost about $20, and trust me, it is worth it. Step number 8. Boost your output with hands-on pumping. What if I told you there's a technique that could increase the amount of milk you pump by 2 or even 3 times? Well, this is the best pumping tip ever, so if you're distracted right now, come back to me. When I do breast compressions while I pump, I usually get about 3 ounces. All it is basically a light massage. When I don't do breast compressions, I get an ounce or less. That's 3 ounces compared to an ounce or less. Breast compressions make a huge difference. I don't want to make this video too long with a tutorial here, but in the first class, you'll learn exactly how to do breast compressions while you pump, with footage of a mother doing it properly. Now, I have a question for you. What is your breastfeeding relationship worth to you? Maybe you know some of the lifelong health benefits that your milk provides to you and your baby. Maybe you know that your milk is the best source of nutrition for your baby, that it's the perfect combination of proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals. Maybe you know that your milk protects your baby from illness and infection, that it lowers the risk of chronic disease for your baby over the course of their entire life. Maybe you know that breastfeeding helps protect you from breast and ovarian cancer, and that it may also reduce the risk of postpartum depression. And maybe breastfeeding isn't really about any of those things to you. Maybe it just feels like it instinctively matters to you. 6 out of every 10 moms in the US give up on breastfeeding before they'd intended to or hoped. What is your breastfeeding relationship worth to you? Now I want you to take a moment. Can you imagine what a difference it would make for your postpartum life if breastfeeding was going well and you felt confident and calm? One thing that is not talked about enough is how much of an outsized role breastfeeding plays in postpartum life. Feeding your baby is postpartum life. If you're a first-time mom, maybe you were like me and imagined peacefully rocking your baby in their adorable nursery, everything quiet and calm. But the reality for so many of us is so different, because when breastfeeding isn't going well, it can color everything. It can negatively impact how you feel about your transition to motherhood, how you feel about your partner, how you feel about your life. But the opposite can also be true. When breastfeeding is going smoothly, the anxiety quiets, the stress and overwhelm drops. Sure, you're still tired and underslept, and you probably still have dishes piling up in the sink, but when you have this confidence, it is a huge shift. And it can make all the difference in how you're able to adjust to your new life with your baby. Now we're at a point where you need to make a decision. Maybe you'll cross your fingers and hope that breastfeeding will go well. Or maybe you'll comb through YouTube videos or social media groups trying to piece together advice. But who knows how trustworthy that information will be and whether it'll actually help you. Or you can make the choice to invest in your breastfeeding relationship by following the guidance of an IBCLC who has helped hundreds of families overcome breastfeeding challenges and reach their goals. All of this in just one class with a few hours of video that can make the difference between whether or not you're able to reach your breastfeeding goals. My breastfeeding journey with my babies inspired me to help other families avoid the frustration and difficulty that I felt. I teamed up with the amazing lactation consultant who is literally life-changing for me and my family. She is why I was able to breastfeed my second baby successfully. She's worked with hundreds of families reach their feeding goals, and now she can help you too. I want to invite you to Mighty Milk's Breastfeeding for Expectant Parents class. This class is exactly all of the information that helped me have a successful breastfeeding relationship. And it made a huge difference in helping me have a happier, less stressful transition to postpartum life than I did with my first baby. The class is broken down into short videos that you can watch all at once or over time, so you can change the course of your postpartum life just by sitting on your couch for an hour or two. And you can grab your partner and watch together, since their support plays an important role in your breastfeeding success. In this class, you'll learn what's normal with a breastfed baby, all about building your milk supply, how to position your baby to avoid nipple pain, how to tell if your baby is hungry, how to tell if your baby is swallowing, how you can tell when breastfeeding is going well and when to get help, tips for maximizing nighttime sleep, how to get started with pumping and bottle feeding, adjusting to life with a breastfed baby, how to get out of the house, nutrition, coffee, alcohol, and medication, and so much more. And reminder that you get 2 bonuses when you sign up. One is a milk storage magnet, which is super useful if you ever pump. It can live on your fridge, and it's great not only for you, but also for your partner or any of your baby's caregivers to make sure the milk is being stored safely for your baby. You also get a laminated cheat sheet that you can keep wherever you nurse your baby to remind you of positioning tips and other fundamentals. Our classes are rated 5 out of 5 stars on Facebook from parents that have been in your shoes. I want to make this extra easy for you. I want you to succeed. I want you to be able to have a rewarding breastfeeding relationship, and by the way, that includes pumping, for as long as you would like. So I'm offering a guarantee. If you finish the class and you're not satisfied, let me know and I'll make it right. Even if you've taken a breastfeeding class at your hospital, take this class. I took a breastfeeding class at my hospital with my first baby, and it didn't teach me in the way that I needed to learn. Mighty Milk's class is different. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Like we talked about, there is no way to put a price on the value of breastfeeding. It is quite literally priceless. But if we look at just the cost of formula, I'd say $1,500 is a low estimate for what a family might spend over a year. This class costs just a fraction of that. If you've spent money on baby clothes or on decorating your nursery, on baby gear, this should be a no-brainer. Do this for your baby, do this for you. You're going to head over to this link. You can also find the link in the video description and the pinned comments. You can get started right away and you'll start to feel more confident and knowledgeable as soon as you start watching the videos. Watch it all at once or over the course of a few days. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to this link or click the link pinned in the comments. Scroll to the bottom and check out, which takes about 10 seconds. You'll get an email after to get your shipping information for your free milk storage magnet and laminated cheat sheet. Once you log in, you have access to the class. This is just a screenshot, but you'll see all of the videos neatly organized into different categories. You can watch the class on any device. All of this for only the price of a couple of cans of formula or a nice pair of pants. And it provides health benefits for you and your baby that literally last a lifetime. Postpartum life is plenty hard enough without breastfeeding challenges. Am I here telling you that breastfeeding is going to be easy, that this class will instantly solve all of your challenges? Definitely not. Some breastfeeding classes guarantee that breastfeeding will go well, and I think that's not fair. Breastfeeding is really hard in our culture for so many reasons. But just a couple of hours of watching the Breastfeeding for Expectant Parents class can make a huge difference in your confidence, knowledge, and your sense of peace in the fourth trimester. I know you showed up today for a reason. I know that you're super busy, you've got work to do, you're preparing for your baby, you've got stuff to do around the house. But here you are. I know you're here because you're trying to be the very best parent you can be and give your baby a healthy start to life. And that's amazing. You might be thinking, will this online class actually make a difference for me? Even if you learn just one nugget that you can take with you that will make breastfeeding feel easier and that will make postpartum life feel easier, this class is worth it. And I guarantee you'll take away many, many nuggets. Our customer reviews show that our classes make a big difference. You might say, this all sounds great. I'm going to come back to this later tonight or in a few days. But you and I both know that you won't come back. I don't want you to lose out on the chance for the class to change the course of your breastfeeding journey. Make the choice right now. Avoid the temptation to put this off. Even if you don't start watching the classes right away, if you have access to it, you'll come back to it. I'll even send you email reminders once you enroll to help encourage you to get through the content. Make this decision now. Do this for you, do this for your baby, and for your postpartum life. Go to this link or click the link in the pinned comments. You're less than 1 minute away from enrolling in the class and starting to feel an immediate confidence boost. Thanks so much, and I'll see you inside.